The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, you'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
Hello folks, welcome back to the Staffordshire Moorlands for round number 2. Now I'm beginning this episode in a bush shelter which is made of stone, and so it's been here for quite a long time. It does have a few modern additions, including a board here which is electronic and it tells you departure times towards Buxton, as you can see there. Also within this shelter there are some lovely little drawings, paintings, bits of artwork, as you can see, adorning the walls. They're quite nice, aren't they? And in the middle of them all is this. And this depicts the marketplace here in this village. This is the village and the parish of Longner. Longner, Longridge. Today, back in Staffordshire Moorlands, we come to the village of Longner, again within the boundaries of the Peak District National Park. Longner as a settlement dates from early times, and the first recorded church here was built in the Middle Ages. Records of the village's early history have been lost, but there is evidence of activity in the area from around 700 AD. Longner should not be confused with another village of the same name near Shrewsbury, but to help us out, there's the Domesday Book. The village was named Longnor in that document, and it basically means Long Ridge. The Shrewsbury version was recorded as Leg. Longner lies on the northern bank of the River Manifold, on a limestone ridge between that and the River Dove. West of Longner are the expansive Staffordshire Moorlands, with the summit at Axe Edge Moor towards the north and Norwich further south. North and east of Longner is the White Peak, with the Dove flowing through a steep-sided limestone valley. According to local legend, the village was burned during the reign of William II as a punishment for the poaching of deer from the forests around Leek. The village centre is at the intersection of two historically important roads, which led to Buxton, Bakewell, Leek and Macclesfield. This meant it was able to become a significant market town in the 18th century. It still is today one of the more significant villages in this corner of northern Staffordshire. It has chapels, schools, pubs, shops and so much more besides. Let's have a wander and put Longner on the Staffordshire map. Shrewsbury can wait its turn. As the principal village in this corner of northern Staffordshire, the most logical place to start our walk around Longner is right in the centre of the village. Our first landmark is a pub. This is the former Crew and Harper Arms Hotel, a historic coaching inn that's been serving travellers for almost 200 years. The inn was originally built in the late 18th or early 19th century. Its age reflects Longner's history as a bustling stop for stagecoaches, which came through the village between Manchester and London primarily. Leek, Macclesfield, Bakewell and Buxton were all important towns in those days too, and Longner sat right in the middle of them all. It quickly became an important market town. The Crew and Harper retained some of its original features, including a stone archway that once led to the stable yard. It takes its name from the Harper Crewe family. They owned Derbyshire's Colk Abbey, but they also had connections to Longner, with some members holding positions at this very inn. While no longer a pub, the building is still in use. It's been converted into self-catering holiday accommodation today. It was one of 5 pubs Longner once had to its name. Yes, so this is the marketplace, and it seems to be the main place to park here in Longner if you visit. It's not where I've chosen to park though, but most people do. As you can see, it's cobbled. It's cobbled. We don't see much of this, do we? But I imagine in little market towns like this, we'll see this more and more. Now, there are loads of things around this marketplace. We've seen, obviously, the pub, or what used to be the pub. There's a few other bits and bobs to cover, including the market hall. So here we are in the marketplace, and all around you are historical buildings and features, including a market hall, a church and a former blacksmith's premises. The first written record of Longner tells us that St Bartholomew's Church was founded in 1223 on the site of the present 18th century parish church, and from there things grew. Over the next 2 centuries there were around 20 homes constructed in the village, growing up around the central crossroads and the marketplace. By 1787, Longner's name was shown on a map of Staffordshire in capital letters. At that time, settlements written like that were seen as very significant. It remained an important centre for trade until the 19th century, and the village still gives you the impression that it could be a small market town again very easily. In the Middle Ages, the market, which in 1293 was claimed by the lords of the manor of Alstonfield, was held close to the church. Regular fairs, up to 4 per year, were held here from the later Middle Ages. A Tuesday market was granted to John Harpur in 1595. Records show there were always a variety of trades and crafts represented in the village, ranging from umbrella makers and clothes peg makers to drapers, grocers and quarry workers. By 1817 there was a market house, although it's not clear when it was built originally. It was rebuilt at the expense of Sir John Harper Crewe in 1873, and this is it right here. It was converted to a parish hall in 1931 and was later to be occupied by Longner Craft Centre and a coffee shop. It still retains an inscription above the entrance giving the former market toll tariffs. Longner's ambition to be a thriving market town into the modern era was hindered somewhat by the demise of the Turnpikes and its lack of a railway link. The market may be gone, but the small, characterful cobbled market square and Victorian market hall are reminders of how life used to be. Longner used to have a market cross too at one time. Well, there may not be a market here in Longner anymore, but the market hall is still the most prominent and iconic feature in the centre of the village. Now, there are other things to see. It's not just all about what you've just seen there in the market square. There's loads more. So let's head along the high street now, and I'll take you towards the post office, which you can see on the left-hand side just there. Along the high street now, we come to the post office. Even though it's no longer a market town, Longner still has a number of shops and amenities, and this is proud to be one of them. As well as the post office, the village has a general store, a coffee shop and a chip shop as well. Let's also not forget the craft centre too. I guess that has to count as well. Next door to the post office is the old Cheshire Cheese, another of Longner's pubs. This one is very much still open, serving fine ales, snacks and excellent meals. The history of the inn begins in 1621 when the original building was constructed as a small farmstead, which was added to later. It is one of the oldest remaining buildings in Longner today. The High Street is an old turnpike road and packhorse route, and that gives this inn its name. It was able to obtain and supply Cheshire cheese en route to markets in Derbyshire and Yorkshire. Now we've got a circular amble around the eastern end of the village. This is generally residential, and it will end when we reach the church, just to the north of the marketplace. This area gives us an opportunity to appreciate the beauty that the Staffordshire Moorlands villages have. In fact, Longner has been admired for quite some time. The village formed the basis of 2 paintings by L.S. Lowry. One was simply entitled Longner, and the other was called the Village Square. He painted the latter in 1943, and today it's in Glasgow. Longner has also been a filming location for various things, and you can see why. Some of the TV series Peak Practice was filmed here for starters. Episode 5 of the BBC's 1995 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice also used Longner. Several shots of the village were used to depict the fictitious settlement of Lambton in Derbyshire. And people often come to Longner for recreational or sporting reasons. It holds the annual Longner Sports or Wakes races on the first Thursday after the first Sunday each September. Well, the sun's come out now and it's made Longner look fantastic, hasn't it? That little amble through those residential areas was absolutely stunning. Doesn't take much to make you fall in love with the place, and I think the sun's done that here. Now, next on our list, as we mentioned earlier, is the church, and you can see it just peeking out there from above that house. Let's head over there and check that out next. Religiously, Longner was a chapelry of Alstonfield and became a separate ecclesiastical parish in 1902. The first mention of a church here was back in 1223, and there was another in 1448. The present church building dates from 1780 and it stands just to the north of the one built in 1448. Historians reckon the current building, dedicated to St Bartholomew, stands on the 1223 church site. The building is of a rectangular shape with rounded Georgian windows to provide light, originally for two galleries. The font is Norman and was for some time placed in the churchyard. It has an embattled western tower with pinnacles and appears rather substantial. On the whole, though, it is a rather grim-looking building. That's really the only downside it has. Among its best features is a modern sculpture of St Bertram by the sculptor Harry Everington. Its churchyard contains the grave, too, of William Billings. He was somewhat of a war hero. He was born in a local cornfield, saw the capture of Gibraltar and suffered wounds at the Battle of Ramillies. He later saw action against the Stuarts in both 1715 and 1745 and finally expired at the grand old age of 112 years. That's a fair old innings for a boy who liked a battle or two. Down Chapel Street we go now, which is cobbled, just like the market square. This is probably one of the oldest streets in Longner, judging by its width and character. There used to be another pub down here. It was called the Red Bull, and no, it didn't have any links to the well-known energy drink company. Today it's an art gallery. The Red Bull was formerly known as the Bull's Head and has a history that predates its listing in 1818. The pub's licence expired at some point between 1904 and 1908. The building itself is thought to date back to 1621, which would make sense given the well-preserved 17th century cottages which you can see otherwise along Chapel Street. And of course it's no longer a pub anymore, but you can still get inside this building if you know what you're doing, because as you can see it's now an Airbnb. What a lovely place for an Airbnb, out onto this cobbled street. I love streets like this. Tight, narrow, obviously never designed for cars. I'm kind of wondering how that car got down here, quite frankly, because it's a set of steps up there. It must have come in this way from the marketplace, which is just down there. We're going to go the other way. We're not heading that way. We're heading between these two buildings. It's very quiet here, by the way. Between these two buildings, and this will take us to the chapel, which is just there. Next we have the Methodist Chapel. Built in 1780, this is one of the oldest in the area. John Wesley once preached at Longner whilst passing through on a journey from Sheffield. However, Methodist preachers had established a society at least 11 years before that in 1769. By 1784, the Longner Methodist Society had an impressive 42 members. In 1870, a new society was created, which was named the Wetton and Longner Methodist Circuit. The manse was built at Wetton along with a new chapel building. The importance of Longner was also recognised, though. The original Wetton and Longner circuit had been Wesleyan, and in 1932 it took on some of the primitive Methodist chapels in the area. This chapel closed in 1996, but some of the former members continued to meet for a while in a hired hall because the journey to Buxton's Methodist Church wasn't seen as very practical. A shop known as Airs and Graces, which is a doll's hospital, is now housed in the former chapel, which contains much of its original furniture, including its flying pulpit, choir stalls and pews. Incidentally, adding to religious history and nonconformism in particular, there was once a Quaker meeting house at Longner, which was registered in 1723. We have another residential area to catch now as we head up Lanehead towards the northern end of the village. I'd describe this narrow lane as a bit more modern. See you again in a sec. So what that little walk up lane head has done has brought us to the very northern part of Longner, if you like. The road here goes north towards Hollinsclough, but we're heading south because we've seen Hollinsclough, haven't we? Now, there's a few more landmarks left, and mostly they're all on the right hand side of this road. The first one is just there, that little opening there. That's a fire station. Now we're on Buxton Road and we're heading back south again. Next to pass is the fire station, which is not something you'd expect to see out here, but its importance can't be denied. Longner Community Fire Station is what's known as retained and forms a vital part of the wider Staffordshire Fire and Rescue Services. Retained fire stations rely on firefighters who are not full-time but are available to respond to calls when needed. Its main function is to provide fire and rescue services to the Longner area. Now we're at St Bartholomew School. Education has a long tradition in Longner. Legend has it that the first schoolmaster in the village in 1597 was paid in corn. How about that for a wage? A school was known to have been in existence in the mid-18th century, and in 1799 it was located within the former Methodist Chapel. Education was endowed under various charities back then. A national school would eclipse them all. It was built in 1853 and later became the present Church of England Primary School, which we're outside right here. The school celebrated its 150th anniversary in 2022 with events showcasing its history and community involvement. This involved a special exhibition. This street is called Carder Green and it connects Buxton Road to Leek Road. There's not a lot on it, but we wouldn't be down here if there wasn't something. This is Massey Feeds. Massey Feeds started as Edward Massey and Sons and traded from a mill in Holmes Chapel in 1878. The company was founded by Edward Massey, who had 4 sons, Harry, Edward, Tom and John. On the death of Edward Sr. in 1883, it became Massey Brothers. The company ground grain on old millstones and sold it to local farmers as animal feed. Grinding was soon replaced by a disintegrator in 1933. It does the same job, it grinds the grain and is an integral part of the modern day process. In 1944, the business acquired William Luce & Co. of Stockport as the company started to grow. Soon they bought another business, Thomas Belfield's, which was based in Derbyshire. The site of this, the store in Longner, was where Thomas Belfield operated. It was rented until 1971 when it was bought from the brewers Ind Coop. This gave the site a very unique license to sell beer by the case, and the store is still used today. That means if you call in here, you can buy both animal feed and alcohol. How's that for unique? In June 1992, Massey celebrated the sale of the 1 millionth tonne of feed processed, and they're currently well on the way to surpassing the 3 million tonne mark. It's a Longner institution. Okay, so Carder Green has brought us onto our last little street here, which will connect us back to the marketplace. It's quite an interesting little area, this. I've just been having a little look around as I've been filming Massey Feeds there, and yeah, nice open space here as it becomes Gall Edge Lane. It's almost like a secondary marketplace. I know it's not, but it's kind of similar. Some nice houses that way. Now, in this direction, there's a couple of buildings here which caught my eye. This one on the end is called Old Smithy Cottage, and the reason that's called Old Smithy Cottage is because right next door there is a blacksmith's shop, and it looks like it's still going actually. You see here, this is the blacksmith shop with the door open. Fantastic. Now next door to that is our last landmark here in Longner. Just come out of the way of this lorry. There we go. Now you might be able to buy alcohol at Massey Feeds, but you certainly can't get a pint in this place anymore. This is the Horseshoe Inn, and you might recognise this if you're a bit of a telly addict. Our last landmark on the walk is the Horseshoe Inn, which is located diagonally opposite the Crew and Harper Arms on the other side of the marketplace. This is the oldest of the former pubs in Longner, dating back to the late 15th or early 16th century. Its facade gave it a bit of fame in the 1990s. You'll recall earlier we mentioned peak practice. This was used as the exterior of the fictional pub The Black Swan in that programme. Like the Crew and Harper, it still has its sign, but closed a while ago and was converted into a residence. It had some long-term operators. Shoemaker John Ball ran it for over 20 years until the 1880s. William Findlow, already a beer retailer in Longner, took over for the next 3 decades or more. And so that's that for Longner, but we will be coming back to this village again later this week. There's a reason for that. You see, the parish of Longner doesn't cover everything it's known for. Out here, boundaries follow the course of rivers or other natural features, meaning some of Longner is within other areas. Come back soon and we'll check all those out too. Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.